Coach, obviously 4 or 5 starters returning, but the one starter not is the center at Patterson. What have you seen from him so far? Obviously in spring camp he stood out to make him the starter now, and then in fall camp as well. What have you seen on him?
I see a lot of progress with Jarrett. You know, when he came here, watching his high school play out there in California, I saw a guy that was well coached. You know, he's very technically sound in his, in his technique and his fundamentals. He's got great eye discipline, good footwork, good hands, good quickness. He's got good bend. And then I just needed somebody that really understood what our offense is all about and the system that he's running right now. He fits in there quite well, and he saw exactly a lot of action in the spring, and now we expect him to have that kind of play, when we start facing teams like Louisville and onward with New Mexico and Georgia. So, but he's made a lot of progress. I've been very, very pleased with where he is at this point.
And then obviously the other 4 guys started for you in the playoff there. Having that experience up front, how important is that?
Well, they've been through the grind, right? They've been through the weekly preparation, the game planning, the practices, and then going out on that field and competing against some of the best competition in the country. You feel good that those guys understand what it takes each and every day to get themselves ready to compete at the highest level. So, you lean very heavily on that experience. Rob Hainsey, obviously 2-year starter, Tommy Kramer, now Liam with a year under his belt. Banks came in halfway through the season, the Navy game. He's done extremely well. So, this is a unit that's been meshing and doing very well together. They understand, the defenses, the calls, and they're feeding off of one another. And as we continue to work through our game plan for Louisville, I see a lot of progress out of this group.
Jeff, how much of a priority was it for you to have Jarrett come in there at center so you guys knew what your 5 was coming out of spring, going into the summer, and into camp?
It's one of the things that I said to these guys. I said, if your best 5 players are all tackles, then 2 are going to play guard, 1's going to have to learn how to play center. And I said, Jarrett, that's you. And so, he embraced it. And one thing about Jarrett, he's got such a positive attitude about the game himself and wanting to contribute to this football team. And he knew that, once Sam graduated, and then, and obviously with Trevor and Colin Grunhart, Trevor Rulin and Colin, we needed Jarrett to step in there and help us. He's a big kid, physical, smart. He likes being inside. He's got those 2 big guards next to him, and then being out on the edge with those defensive ends. But really pleased with his mindset, his willingness to do whatever it takes to help our football team be successful.
Coach Kelly said running the football is going to be very important for you guys. How have you seen the offensive line do in that aspect in run blocking and coming together and working on that?
Well, that's a priority, but the most important thing is that our guys are, blocking the plays that are called, regardless if it's a run play or a pass play or screen play. Those are the 3 components of our offense, right? And, that's always going to be the mentality here at Notre Dame. We've seen it. We understand the importance of that. That's a priority for all of us to be able to, move people off the ball. And especially not only in the first quarter, second quarter, but how you establish that run game and the mentality in the third and fourth quarter so you can finish games off in those 4-minute segments of the game. So, and you got to rely upon your ability to move people in 8- and 9-man boxes when they're trying to stop the run. And we feel strongly that we have the ability to do that.
How far along have your tackles, Liam and Robert, come from the start of last season, Michigan game, maybe not having the best game, and then progressing since then?
That was probably one of Liam's, toughest games, obviously. Competition was great, first start, but it was at home. And, what we found out of Liam was that he was able to be a student of the game, really look and take things, get in the film room, watch what he was doing, getting a better handle on, how defensive ends were playing it. And then I think as time continued to progress, he just got more and more comfortable at that left tackle position. Rob has been outstanding. He is as technically sound as any player I've coached. Very disciplined with his eyes, his body position, his hands, his feet. He's always in good position. And, he brings the juice and the energy every day. And that's what you need to be a great player. And that's what we've seen. And we saw it as a true freshman when he first came here in that winter term. So he's made great progress. And so we lean very heavily on both those guys to be able to block defensive ends. And what they get every day is as good as you're going to get. You know, you're not going to find better competition in practice than what we face and those two face each and every day.
Who are the guys you're most confident in stepping up in case someone goes down at tackle and guard and center?
Well, you know, that's a great question because, you know, you're always kind of taking too deep, right? You got your 5, and then you're bringing in the next 5. But, you know, in a game situation, you know, you're going to be looking at, you know, a guy like Josh Lugg to step in there, Trevor Rulin to step in there. And that may mean Lugg out at tackle. That may mean Lugg inside. And that may mean Banks has to kick out or Kramer has to kick out because both Banks and Kramer both played tackle for us here. So, you know, I feel like we have some flexibility. But, you know, those guys are, I think there's, you know, a solid group of guys in the depth that will help come in and compete and continue to help our football team be successful.